So we're here, it's about 11:30 in the morning. I was doing some work, reading some history that I do and taking notes, and I suddenly wanted a beer, which happens occasionally. And I got up, got Hamm's out of the fridge. It's the only thing we have in the house right now. Not that that's a bad thing, but it's coming over here, just about to open it up, and Margaret said, why don't we make a video of it? So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Hamm's, some of which I knew and some of which I found out when I looked it up on the authoritative source, Wikipedia. Hamm's Brewery, as it says in the can, started in 1865 by Theodore Hamm. He inherited the brewery from his friend and business partner, and I'm hoping that someday I also inherit a brewery from a friend and business partner or something like that. This was in St. Paul, Minnesota, and by the 1880s, this was the second largest brewery in Minnesota. This was a pretty big German immigrant area, and Hamm himself was a German immigrant. They continued to operate, well, obviously in some way up to the present. During Prohibition, some of his kids and grandkids were in charge of the brewing operation, and they made it through Prohibition by making soft drinks and other food stuff, and then that allowed the Hamm's company afterwards to kind of expand into some other areas. Continued on in 1968, the beginnings of the Hamm's acquisitions, or the acquisition of Hamm's, began. They were bought by some little company. They were eventually bought by Pabst back maybe around 1980 or something like that. And then Pabst was bought by Miller. And then, of course, you guys know that Miller was bought by SAB, the South African breweries, and now is part of the massive conglomerate. But this was one of the brews that when Pabst was going on its major purchasing spree, that Pabst decided to keep in production. I think Pabst also bought Stroh's maybe, and Olympia, kept those going for a while too. And so we can thank Pabst in part for still having Hamm's with us today. And I'm a big inexpensive beer. I don't like to call it cheap, inexpensive beer. Fan, connoisseur. I also like a lot of other stuff. But Hamm's is something that's become more familiar to me now that we moved to Illinois. I get it around here regularly. It's kind of it's not quite as sweet as a Miller High Life, but it's definitely more along that way than the sort of more bitter taste of a PBR. And Hamm's happens to be one of the cheapest things we can get in 30 packs, and so I always keep some in the house for drinking on a 11:30 on a Saturday morning, or when you're going to have 5 or 6 or more beers, maybe on a Friday night or something like that. Pretty tasty stuff. And then, of course, you should also look up the Hamm's commercials from the 1950s and 1960s with the Hamm's Beer Bear and their great song. So that's it for Hamm's.